Your comment.
Okay,
You heard
so
the union minister say
well,
this thrice. The government, it has failed. I've been doing this show for 40 continuous days, inviting guests on Manipur 2 hours every day, and especially inviting people from Manipur and people of Manipur, so that the perspective remains rooted to the ground, local, unbiased, unpontificated from Delhi. And this is the first time actually I have heard a sitting MP or a union minister speak like that. Mr. Haukip.
is the question to me?
Yes, sir.
Hello.
Yes, the question is for you.
So despite the goodwill which has come from some of the what you call so-called liberal concerned citizens, the situation on the ground is spiraling out of control, and this has been very worrying, especially during the past few days since Long incident and post which they were burning down of MLA house, including our MP house. So this is a very grave situation. So now the question is, despite all the goodwill which have come from concerned citizens across India and also from the state of Manipur on both sides. So that on both sides, we have been gathering information that there is a lot of goodwill to bring back some kind of normalcy. But despite all these attempts, so the violence is not abating, and rather it is on the aggravating sides. So what does this show? So ultimately, for my opening comments, I would like to somehow explain who are these mobs. So this mob, undefined mob, is something that we need to explain, and which I will not do at the moment. But as an opening remark, it's very saddening to see the state where we all belong to has been inflamed, and then there's multiple loss of properties, life every day. So today's story is not the end. So we are waiting for more war stories. So now, what is the way forward? The way forward is that there is an aggressor, and then the people upon whom the aggressor has committed the aggression. So unless this aggression has to be stopped, somehow, somewhere, we need to stop this aggression. And unless we stop this aggression, I don't see any kind of a situation where normalcy will return. Rather, we'll be seeing more of bloodshed in future. I'm sorry to use strong language, but this is the only way in which we can describe the undescribable, horrendous, undesirable situation in which we are placed. And not only people of Manipur, especially all concerned citizens, generals, and we have been hearing stories from academicians, from people from all walks of life. This has never happened in the history of Manipur. I've been as a citizen of Manipur. We love our state so much. We love our people. And why this has spiraled out of this control, I think this has to be looked seriously. And the existing law and order situation with surplus of central forces of 60,000 is not enough. So what should be done at this level is the main challenge. And as a opening remark, I would like to put this on point and later deliberate on further.
Absolutely, absolutely. It's going to be a long conversation. General Meston, I won't use the word unbelievable. You must have seen many more things like that. But this is very worrisome. A union minister in Kerala, he spoke yesterday. He addressed the Manipur of yesterday, and then the violence took place. The big picture. I ran his bite. It was a 10-minute press conference, and if you saw the visuals, sir, the burnt cars are not civilian. They are police. They are paramilitary jeeps. They actually burned the security apparatus also. General Saab.
Yeah, Kartikeya, good morning.
Morning, sir. Morning, sir. Your comments on it.
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I can't actually hear you. Your sound is totally gone. It was coming fine.
I'm saying your comments on it, sir.
Yeah, my comments are very clear. Kartikeya, day before, during your discussion with you, I had mentioned very clearly, as a military man, that there has to be a directive that violence shall and must cease by so and so date, so and so time. No, that is not happening. There is no doubt. And not only the minister's house, many normal civilians, their lives have been lost. Their houses have been burnt from so many days, and from both the communities, they have been affected. Many army officers, including Jawans and junior commissioned officers, their houses have got burnt. Now it has taken a big focus because the MP's house has been burnt. And I'm glad, I must state, that the MP has been very candid, and you yourself stating that he has clearly given the blame to the state administration, because from day one, or I would say the third day, I was surprised as a military man that how police armories have been raided. More than 1,000 weapons were taken away. Is this the standard of a state police? Who's governing them? Who is responsible? And I think the MP also stated one thing very, very clearly, that the administration has failed despite a support by center in terms of inducting large number of security forces, and yet the situation continues the way it is. And I tend to agree with both the earlier speakers that the situation is now going to spiral out of control, and I do not know where is it going to end. So firstly, the blame has been highlighted very, very clearly. I also heard the portion of the clip which you showed of the chief minister addressing, and he's again quite vocal that peace must prevail. That peace everyone wants, and we are hearing about these statements from the second or third day of the violence. But why the peace is not being enforced? We have to enforce peace, not talk peace. Enforcement is lacking, and first there has to be a political will at the state administration. I'm glad the center is supporting, and there is something amiss over there, and that is why the distrust or the mistrust amongst the people is manifesting in destruction of property and killing people. It's just spiraling out of control. And if you recollect, the CDS had mentioned on his remarks on this issue, which had just erupted about a month back, that this is not a counter-insurgency problem, it is a different problem. And that is exactly now what is happening. It's a different problem. But now my worries are, I have great apprehensions. The way things are spiraling out of control, let me now today state, it can now take a different dimension. Let us now be prepared for counter-insurgency state. It is going to happen because it is unabated, there is mistrust, and therefore it can now take that form where China is going to support. China, as it is I mentioned, is going to support all militant groups, whether they are of this community or the other community. All militant, there are militant groups of both the communities. We all know these facts. So it is going to continue, and therefore now Mizoram, Nagaland, they are bordering, and this is all the hill tracts area. I'm only worried because way back in 1982, when I was deployed there, I've seen the peak of insurgency there, and so much of armed forces are required. Does today India want that we start depleting our forces from China border and start inducting it into Manipur, Nagaland, and Mizoram? If the situation goes out of control, now is the time to take stock of the situation. We need to control and finish this violence forthwith. Otherwise, it is going to take a counter-insurgency dimension, maybe within a month or so. There must be a lot of spade work going on between various organizations, militant organizations, the PLA, that is the Chinese PLA, not the Manipur, the Methi PLA. They would now be totally getting involved, the Chinese PLA. And I mentioned the Myanmarese army is very corrupt. They are the conduit. So things can go out of control, and probably it is a wake-up call for the nation, for Manipur, that the MP's house has been burned. This is a wake-up call. It's a timely message for all of us to unite and fight this problem. Otherwise, we are in for a trouble. The way JNK had problems, we cannot afford to have counter-insurgency problems manifesting in our border area, because that is at the cost of depleting forces from the line of actual control or I would say the international border with Pakistan or the LAC with China, that is not to our national and strategic advantage. So I have been quite forthright and quite blunt about it. As a true nationalist, as a true Indian, I have given my point of view, and I tend to agree with Dr. Ranjan. That is a total failure of the state administration, despite induction of security forces and support being given by the center. So I think that is what the issue has emerged after this statement, and probably it will have political ramifications, because he also mentioned that the Honorable Home Minister has been stated, and I think they may they may perhaps take a review. As it is, there have been called since many days to, impose president rule by one community and the other wants it. So I think that mistrust is so much. So the center has to now take a call as to how to address this issue politically. The solution is politically. The flare-up has been political. The solution also lies in some political reforms. Some now center has to get involved. Our Prime Minister is today, just in the next week, going to be in United States. This issue should not embarrass India. And before that, I think we need to take some firm steps to control this violence. Maybe some strong political measures are required, because it's got a political solution, not a military solution. Military can only suppress, but it requires a political solution to address the fears of both the communities, address the mistrust of both the communities, and that is what has to be addressed, rather than allowing it to spiral out of control and allow hooligans of both the communities to take law into their own hands. Thank you, Karthik.